Oh my goodness, I didn't even have enough time to switch channels and we're already underway. Hello everybody, welcome to a double race in our Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX any percent no save and quit wrong warp or out of bounds tournament. We have today for you, looks like Sttaner versus Sample Name and Cravone versus ElPhezo. So, oh my goodness, seems we're having a little bit of trouble with the restream here. Looks like... Oh! I think we're restarting the race there. We had a little bit of a hiccup, so just bear with us for a moment, and we will get that fixed up.
Hello?
Hello!
Hey!
Seems we're restarting the race, so you arrived just in time.
That is good. Yeah, it looks like Stanner's screen is messed up or something.
It certainly does. But, okay, so I thought we were restarting, but everyone else is already moving along, so...
Should we post something in the...
Okay, no, I guess they're working out something. They're working out a thing with Stanner. Just the race is just going to continue by the looks of it. Okay, so everyone went and got the sword because you need the sword. What's a Zelda game without a sword? And now they're on their way to get the key to the first dungeon, which normally requires this delightfully long quest of getting a mushroom, taking it to an old hag, blah blah blah. No, instead we are going to use a Moblin's arrow to clip over a pit. Well, to kind of damage boost over a pit. It's Moblin Skip, and it is probably the most common reset point in the early game for a lot of people, possibly in the entire game.
Yeah, it's a trick that really depends a lot on our RNG, just because of it depends on where the Moblin is, if it happens to be facing in the right direction when you want it to, so...
Yep, and you also have to be clipping to the wall in a certain way, otherwise your timing isn't quite right, and here's Sample Name. Oh, doesn't quite get it, takes a fall. Cravone gets it first try.
Yeah.
ElPhezo as well. Looks like all three of them are right on through.
So it looks like Cravone tried to get something called Owl Skip, where you can skip the text of the owl. It looks like nobody has gotten it. It's a frame-perfect trick, so you have to open up the chest and everything just at the right moment, but it looks like nobody got it this time.
ElPhezo got pretty close, but he didn't quite make it to the screen transition before the owl started talking. And I'm sure they're all very upset about this, so they're going to go gamble and then embrace a life of crime.
Exactly.
Humorously enough, we literally only go to this trendy game here to get the magic powder because of one thing we have to do in Dungeon 2 and potentially having to do during the final boss, so otherwise we wouldn't be gambling here, but that is what it is. Let's see if anyone gets a second try trendy. Nope, all three of them get it first try. Nice.
Yeah, it's interesting. It seems like Cravone, who PB-wise has the long... Oh!
Oh!
Did the sample die to the fox?
Yep. The pupper took him out.
Ouch. Yeah, I guess there was this big discussion in an earlier race trying to determine whether that was a fox or a dog or what.
I'd venture to guess that it's supposed to be a dog because it's hanging out with a little kid. It's just a dog that doesn't like being slashed. It takes matters into its own hand instead of having chickens fly off from off screen. But anyways, you're going to see it in the shop. You're going to see us steal the shovel, first of all, which happens by making it so that the store owner is not looking at you when you run out the door. And doing that also lets us go back in, buy bombs, and then steal the bow. The bow is the big one we're going to be grabbing here, because that's an item you're not supposed to be getting until much, much later. So for the early game, it does a lot of damage, and you're going to be seeing that in Dungeon 1.
Yeah, you use it a lot for bosses, and also in Dungeon 1, you'll see it be used with a trick called super jumping, which we'll see in a little bit.
Yes, and you will also notice that all our runners will actually be killing certain enemies. In other cases, you don't trying very hard to dodge. That's because now that the only necessary death in the run is behind them, they have to start keeping track of their kill count. Because when they hit 30 kills, something very special happens, and we're going to be seeing that in Dungeon 2. So look forward to that.
Oh, it looks like Stanner's stream seems to be on now.
Yes, but it seems that he's still on the menu screen, which is troubling. But all our runners are actually making good progress. In fact, Sample and ElPhezo are both going through the underground tunnel on their way to get the dungeon item, which, how nice of this game to give us this particular item in the first dungeon. We're talking about the Roc's Feather, because the Roc's Feather lets you do the unthinkable in a 2D Zelda. It lets you jump. And not just jump in straight lines, jump diagonally as well, and we're going to be abusing that throughout this run. Because jumping diagonally is faster than moving in the up, down, left, right directions, so...
Yeah, and there are several jumps in this game. It seems like the developers underestimated the power of Roc's Feather, especially jumping diagonally, because there'll be some hits that the runners will jump over that they're really not supposed to be able to do, but they can just do it with a simple jump.
Yep. And if you watch Sample Name, he's coming up on the first of what Wolfels talked about, super jumps. Oh, doesn't quite get it, though. When you clip into a wall and you jump toward it, then jump away while attacking, or in this case shooting an arrow, the game gets a little bit confused and thinks you're one level higher up, and lets you actually jump as if you were jumping off higher ground, which lets you clear certain things like key blocks, or normal blocks, or a lot of other things you'll be seeing throughout.
Ooh, Sample's pretty low on hearts.
Ooh, he might opt to grab the fairy from the mini-boss. Yeah, it looks like he is. Can't say I blame him. You don't want to be taking too many deaths this early on.
Yeah, so you can see the runners as they enter the boss. They're bringing up their menu, and that's because when you enter these bosses, text appears, and if you open your menu at just the right time, you can skip that text for you.
Yep, you can use the pause menu to skip the text boxes when you fight bosses or come into dungeons, and you'll also see, whenever we open a chest, you'll see that they open the save and quit menu, because it lets you skip the dialogue box you get from opening chests, which is very handy, because you open a lot of chests in this game. But with that, Dungeon 1 is done, and everyone's going to be heading on their way to Dungeon 2. But first, let's talk a little bit about, in ElPhezo, you see Link talking to the kids and then just running away. In the English version, you can't skip that dialogue. In the Japanese version, you can. So on top of several version-specific tricks and just less text because Japanese takes up less space, little things like that, being able to skip certain dialogue with the B button is extremely helpful in this version, which is why we use 1.0 Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
And oops, ElPhezo getting pretty close to the Guardian Acorn there. You don't want to grab the Guardian Acorn because, yeah, you take less damage, but it messes up the other thing we're counting toward with our kill count here.
Yeah, so it looks like ElPhezo is first to get to the Moblin Cave here.
Yes, indeed. Just to deal with this mini-boss. You want to ideally take him out in 2 cycles, so it looks like he got 1. Let's see if we can finish him in the 2nd cycle. Looks pretty good, though.
Yep, 2 cycles.
That's what you want to see. Very nice. And here's going to be our game-long companion, Bow Wow. What a good-looking pupper. Yeah, normally this game wants you to do Dungeon 2, because he eats the flowers, let you in, and then return him, but going back to the village takes a long time, so we're just going to take him with us for the rest of the game.
Yeah, and Bow Wow here is our greatest friend and our greatest enemy, because, sure, he'll eat the flowers, and he'll also eat the enemies, and later on you'll see him eat some cutscenes. However, a lot of his eating is very random. So it's hard times to plan out exactly how many kills you have when he's eating away.
Speaking of kills, look on ElPhezo's screen, because if he counted it right on this screen, there it is, the Piece of Power. When you get 30 kills without dying or saving and quitting, you get Piece of Power, which lets you move faster, do more damage, and knock enemies back. So we definitely want to get it, and we actually have it counted out just right to get in certain dungeons in certain places. Because leaving dungeons will actually get rid of Piece of Power, so we have to be very careful about how we route this with enemy kill count.
Ooh, Cravone's having some bad luck on Bow Wow eating the flowers.
Oh, Bow Wow, please. Like we said, he's also your worst enemy. There we go. There we go. Cravone making his way into Dungeon 2 now. And I'm getting some weird stuttering on the stream. Are you getting that as well?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, it looks like Sample Name's timer's turned off.
Oh no.
Do you think maybe
What happened?
he might have offered to restart?
Yeah, it looks like Cravone's is up too. Oh no, that was just streamer lag.
Sttaner said his internet died for about 5 minutes, so that's unfortunate.
Yeah, is Cravone's timer stopped with you too?
Yeah. Oh, Cravone's is still going on mine.
Oh. Maybe it's just the streamer lag. It seems to be starting and going for some reason.
Could be. But goodness, there's still so much going on, though. Sample Name and ElPhezo have both just picked up the Power Bracelet, which lets you pick up pots. And you also learn another little fun thing that the Piece of Power does. Lets you pick things up faster. So in Dungeon 2, having Piece of Power is very useful. And now both of them, and oops, Sample Name is paused. Looks like he's waiting to figure out what he's going to be doing with Sttaner. Meanwhile, ElPhezo, heading into the D2 boss, the ugly clown genie of, I have no idea what this guy's deal is. So what the game wants you to do here is basically when he goes into his bottle, hit it, throw it against the wall 3 times. But why do it 3 times when you can only do it once? Because if you're clipped into a wall, you're going to see that as a recurring thing we do throughout the run. And then you throw the pot, the game just says, okay, and you only have to do it once.
So if you line up perfectly here, like ElPhezo just did, you can place a bomb and then fire a bomb arrow right there next to the door, and then you're done.
Yep, that's the other great thing about arrows in this game. Getting the bow and arrow early lets us not only do a lot of damage, but it also lets us do bomb arrows, which lets you bomb things at a distance and also instantly explode them, which is extremely useful. You know, oh, Cravone is getting blocked, because in that room he's in, oh gosh, because you have to kill the enemies in a certain order in that room, otherwise the boss key chest won't spawn. You have to kill the Pole's Voice first, then the Bat, then the That's a Stalfos, right? I'm terrible with names. Okay. Thank you. And there we go. Fortunately, Cravone's going to be losing some time here because he lost Piece of Power. So that's one thing. If one runner has a good Piece of Power routing and the other one loses it, that gap is going to start widening, especially in later dungeons like Dungeon 5. Meanwhile, ElPhezo's heading on his way to the next major skip of this run, which is Villa Skip. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so casually what you're supposed to be doing is you're supposed to have returned Bow Wow, you need to talk to this guy so you can get to a castle, so you can get some leaves, so you can give them to him, so you can get into this area, so you can get a key. But that's way too long. So what you can actually do here is that if you get to this pit, like you can see on ElPhezo's screen, oh, he fell in a hole, and buffer a certain way and wait on this one exact frame, you can actually warp kind of down, and then that skips that whole side quest thing and saves a lot of time. We're
talking minutes, and we can do something similar to get out, just like that. So we get the key a lot faster than we normally would. And on top of that, we're going to do something else. Comes back to wall clipping again, because the game wants you to go all the way back around to the other side, because the keyhole is on the other side of a wall. But if you're clipped into the wall, just like this, bam, wrong side of the keyhole. What a well-designed keyhole.
Looks like Ravone has finished up D2.
Very nice, very nice. It's important to note, even though Cravone is definitely fallen behind ElPhezo here, there's still a lot of things that there's still a lot of game left to play, and there are a lot of difficult tricks left to do that can cause a lot of time, so this race is far from over.
Yeah, especially some of the later tricks can be very RNG dependent, especially the final boss.
Oh god, yes. The absolute final thing you do in this game is a massive RNG factor. And with... oh, watch out for that acorn. So, ElPhezo should be getting his next piece of power in this room, just like that. Perfect. And piece of power in this dungeon is useful not just for movement, but for this trick you're about to do. If you watch his screen, he uses a super jump to tink off the Dongo Snake just like that, so you can get over those blocks. It's a little bit tricky because it's very easy to accidentally land in the blocks in soft lock, but with piece of power, it gives you a little bit of extra speed, which makes it a lot easier to do that trick. So you really I like having piece of power in this dungeon a lot.
Yeah, it also looks like Sttaner and Sample Name managed to start their race over again, so they're going at it above.
All right. Well, actually, this is great, because now we get to talk about the quick sword, which you didn't get to talk about before. You're going to see Sample Name do it from the top and Sttaner do it from the left. Try to set up so that you can grab the sword before the owl flies away, because then that way your text box from the sword grab overlaps with the owl flying, and hopefully they'll both get it here. Just like that. It's also possible to do it a little bit faster and grab the sword before the owl starts talking, but it only saves you like half a second. Grabbing the sword fast is something you definitely want to be doing, though. Goodness. Looks like we're going to have Cravone getting into D3 right as ElPhezo is facing off against the boss. Oh, having some trouble in this room with a teleport, whatever. What are those things? Do you know what they are?
I do not know the name of them, no.
They're just weird little plump boards that just teleport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They always teleport away right when you're swinging your sword at them, it seems.
Yeah, and ElPhezo doing the optimal boss fight right there, having them both land right on top of you there and hit them with your sword. With piece of power, they die real quick.
Okay, so it looks like Sttaner and Sample Name are heading up to Marble and Skip.
Yep, and they're actually right on top of each other too, so they're very close. Meanwhile, Cravone's setting up, hopefully to get his piece of power in the other room. Oh, swinging that sword to kill an enemy was a bit risky, because the sword can pick up the acorn, and you do... Here's the thing, if you have the Guardian Acorn, you can't get piece of power. It just won't drop. So you do not want to have Guardian Acorn, because if you do, then you have to go take 3 hits to get rid of it. And, oh, Cravone does not quite get the setup for the mini-boss skip, so he has to leave the room and try again. Thankfully, you can do that.
Sample Name just got Marble and Skip. I guess Sttaner did too.
Yep, and they both got the setup for... Oh, I think Sample Name got Owl Skip. Yes, he got it.
Yeah,
and Sttaner did as well. Wow, they're both having a great start here.
So, since ElPhezo is heading over to Animal Village, do you want to explain bomb triggers and walrus skip?
Oh, yes. Let's talk about bomb triggers. In this game, the most powerful thing is not the magic rod, it is not the sword, it is bombs. Because if you drop 2 bombs within 4 frames of each other, the game does not know what to do, and it just decides, you know what, screw it, we're just going to trigger an event on whatever screen you're on. So in ElPhezo's case, that means this event that normally requires you to go get Marin and bring her here so to sing to wake up the walrus, just happens. Because that's the thing. You see him do it on the screen transition, because normally you can't drop another bomb while there's a bomb on the screen, but if you do it on the transition, the last frame before you pass through it, and the first frame on the other side, that's what ElPhezo did right there. But it's also a very risky trick here, because if you have to leave on a very particular frame after the walrus falls off, otherwise you softlock and you have to actually hard reset your system, which is why this is the only spot in the entire run where runners are allowed to have a safety save.
Yeah, because the reason you have to have that safety save is while, right after you perform walrus skip, you can't use any of your, like you can't use A and B, you can't open your menu, so you have to go and enter a cave in order to be able to use your items again, which is what ElPhezo did.
That's right. Oh, and Cravone's having... Oh, he's in a tough spot. He has to face off against the... Oh, but he gets it.
Yeah, losing your piece of power on that boss can be very annoying because then you have to start using spin attacks in order to damage the boss effectively, instead of just being able to swing your sword.
Yeah, because piece of power, basically, you can do a sword swing will do as much damage as an unpiece of powered spin attack. So piece of power definitely helps against bosses. And Sttaner and Sample Name still staying neck to neck. They're both going into Dungeon 1 at the same time. And actually, okay, Cravone's not going to try for bomb triggers. Is something you actually can use not just for walrus skip. You can actually use it to skip smaller cutscenes too. Like in a couple of spots, you can use it to stop the owl from flapping in and flapping out. But since bomb counts and arrow counts are so tight in this run, it's one of those things where unless you're really, really good at them, a lot of runners will opt not to do them just to conserve their count. And that's a completely fair thing to do because those extra bomb triggers don't even save that much time.
Yeah, and some of them it gets to the point where if you can't do it unbuffered, then there's no sense in doing them at all, because actually pulling up your menu to try to buffer in the bomb takes as much time as it saves.
Yep. But, well, ElPhezo has managed to reveal the happy fish face door to Dungeon 4, and he has to climb up into the mountains so that he can get to it. And Cravone now is about to set up for his own walrus skip. Let's see if he wants... I think he's going to set up to do it from the left side instead of from the top like ElPhezo did. He sure is. The left side is a bit faster, but it's also a little bit riskier. Even though we have a much better strat for it now, a lot of folks feel more comfortable with the top strat, because the top strat is pretty much 100% certain to not soft lock if you do it just right. But the left side strat's still a little bit weird if you don't know what your subpixels are, because subpixels can really ruin you.
ElPhezo did one of the more important tricks in the game.
Oh no!
Obstacle skip.
Cravone got the soft lock!
No!
Yes, you need to leave on the frame before the rabbit shows up, because now he's stuck. He can't do anything. He's going to have to power cycle his system, so hopefully he has that emergency save prepared. Otherwise, this is it for Cravone.
Oh no.
Alright, so... Well, we're gonna keep an eye on Cravone. Hopefully he has that save prepared. Meanwhile, ElPhezo, in Dungeon 4, we can't stop, because things are just keep happening. In Dungeon 4, there's going to be one major thing you notice. That's that we're going to get the flippers, which are a very important item, and then we're going to leave. Because finishing Dungeon 4 triggers a side quest involving a ghost that you have to take to his house on the southern side of the island, and then you have to take him to his grave, and while you're doing this, you can't enter other dungeons, which is dumb. So, instead, we just get the flippers and leave. Then do Dungeons 5 and 6, because the item from Dungeon 6 raises a counter flag, if you will, that once you have the Dungeon 6 item, that side quest no longer triggers, and then we'll come back and finish Dungeon 4. So... Cravone's still not doing much... Oh my god, Sample Name and Sttaner are still in the same dialogue box, so they're staying neck to neck. Getting some real good races here.
They defeated the boss at pretty much the exact same time.
Nice. But yeah, you'll see ElPhezo now go back to the teleporter and just leave Dungeon 4 and head on down to where the Catfish Maw in Dungeon 5 is. Yeah, but I wonder what's Cravone? Cravone's just sitting there. He's not... Did he not have the...
He may not have the save. I don't know.
Oh. He might... Yeah, if he doesn't have the safety save, he's done, but... Yeah, like I said, this trick is difficult. Even for an experienced runner like Cravone, it's easy to accidentally mess this up if you're just... Even if you're off by just 1 pixel, this can happen. So that's why all runners are allowed to have a safety save in the Animal Village, but... I guess Cravone didn't have one ready, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, so ElPhezo here, heading to D5, like we said. One thing with D5 is that you really hope you get Piece of Power for this dungeon, because there's a lot of backtracking and moving around, so you really hope that you can get the increased movement speed that you get from Piece of Power.
That's right. Dungeon 5 is also the longest dungeon, because the big gimmick in this dungeon is the mini-boss, Master Stalfos. Oh, ElPhezo getting that perfect Piece of Power. But Master Stalfos, the mini-boss, has 4 rooms throughout this dungeon, and you have to fight him in all 4 of the rooms in a particular order. in order to get the dungeon item, which is the hook shot. So you want to be able to move around quickly, and to get and we also do a skip to get the the nightmare key without having to go to you have the hook shot, which is a Pegasus Shoes rock feather jump, a very long jump, and having Piece of Power makes it a little bit easier to set it up. So having Piece of Power in this dungeon can save a lot of time. You definitely want to have it. Meanwhile, Sttaner and Sample staying mere rooms apart, and everyone's Piece of Power count is on point today. I'm loving this. Just like that, everyone's gotten it in the same room in Dungeon 2. That's fantastic.
Do we have any way of changing the audio? Oh, there we go. Just as I say it, it happened.
Feasel's got her back.
There we go. Thank you, Feasel.
Alright, so I mentioned Master Stalfos. You want to talk about him a little bit?
Yeah, so the thing with Master Stalfos is that you have to face him 4 times in 4 different areas of the dungeon, which is why Piece of Power is so useful, because you have to be running around the dungeon, attacking him, and on the 4th time, you manage to get the hook shot, which is a very important item, especially for a glitch coming up called Booster Skip. So you have to be very careful with where you're placing your bombs in order to defeat him in the most optimal way possible.
Yep, because it actually takes a different number of bombs to kill him in each encounter. 3 bombs for the first encounter, 2 for the second and third encounters, and then 3 for the final encounter. And using bomb arrows to do multiple hits on the middle encounters doesn't actually save you much time, because he still has a talk. And even if you hit him with extra bombs, you'll get the kill animation, but he just drops a bomb, not the hook. Not a bomb. He just drops a key instead of the hook shot, so there's really no point. And ElPhezo, getting the dumb jump number 1.
Nah, this is dumb jump number 2.
Oh my goodness, you're right. Thank you.
First dumb jump was in D4, having to jump around that cracked block.
Oh yeah, that is absolutely a dumb jump.
So the reason ElPhezo did that dumb jump was because how you're supposed to get through that room is to use the hook shot. However, to get the hook shot, you have to go all the way around and defeat Master Stalfos for the last time. And since the room is right there, and you can get to the key with precise jumping, you might as well pick it up then instead of having to backtrack all the way back after getting the hook shot.
Yeah, because that's a long underground tunnel with swimming, and we're never going to go to an area of the dungeon again, because the tunnel to the boss is actually closer to where we are right now, fighting Master Stalfos the 4th time. Meanwhile, Sttaner and Sample getting the finishing hits almost exactly on top of each other again. These guys are just staying neck to neck.
Yeah, I think in terms of PBs, too, they're the 2 closest. So I think this race is going to be neck and neck probably the whole time.
And that's what I like to see. Well, they're gonna have to work hard to top the race you had the other night, though. That was down to the wire. You had me on the edge of my seat with that one.
Why, thank you. Yeah, we'll have to see if it all comes down to the nightmare fight like it did in that race.
It may very well, because the nightmare fight is just full of RNG. Also, you're going to see ElPhezo here. He's going to take a hit probably in this next room on the, I never remember what those things are called. Just like that, that's the 3rd hit to lose Piece of Power. Because the knockback effect Piece of Power has is something you do not want for this boss. The Wall Snake.
Yeah, the Wall Snake can be very tricky, because if you just mash your sword and try to hit him as much as possible when you can, he'll actually go into this other phase.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, you pull him out and you hit him. The thing is, it takes 8 hits to kill Wall Snake, but you have to be careful, because if you only do 7 and then you try to pull him out for the last hit, he starts moving around the room like Moldorm, but ElPhezo getting the perfect 2 phase, which is exactly what you want right there. The thing is about the wall snake, though, is since you have no way of knowing which hole in the wall he's coming out of, and there's a tail in the middle, you can do your best to try and compensate for it, but there's always the possibility that you're just not going to be able to get to his mouth in time, and that's something you just have to deal with. This is a boss that just has RNG.
Stanner's having a lot of issues with Villiskip, but it looks like he managed to get it. But because of that, Sample managed to pull pretty far ahead. Relatively far ahead.
And Cravone is back! I guess he did have a save, or maybe someone passed him a save file?
I think Spice Father said that he sent him a save.
Spice Father, MVP of our race today, giving Cravone a second chance. Thank you, Spice Father. And he gets it. That's what Cravone did right there is what he was trying to do the first time. Getting that left-hand walrus skip on the second try. Very nice. So he's back in it. We have 2 races once again. Yes, karaoke, we are allowed to do that. The walrus skip is the only thing in the game where races are allowed to have a backup save because of the high probability of soft locking there.
Yes, and when you submit times, you're not allowed to use that, but for tournaments and for races, it's allowed.
Yes.
So it looks like ElPhezo's heading through the Armos Maze to get the D6 key.
Yep. Armos Maze is a little bit annoying. There's a lot of enemies, and the Armos themselves can get in your way, but Bow Wow can be a total bro here, and if he wants to, because when he eats Armos, they drop single arrows, and since arrow count is always limited, you can get a few extra arrows here, and that's always nice. But now it's time for the Big Armos, or what the heck is this guy's name?
Probably has some fancy name.
Armos Knight, I don't know.
Armos Knight, something like that.
But he gives us the key that smiles back. Hi, face key.
Stanner
Right.
making his Dongo skip. And same with Sample.
Alright, very nice. Looks like everyone's managed to, so far managed to avoid soft locking on the Dodongo skip, which is nice. And getting a little bit lost leaving the Armos Maze there, ElPhezo is, but that's okay. So let's talk a little bit about Bow Wow here, because we're coming up on the other thing that makes Bow Wow our best friend. And that's, how he interacts with things that aren't enemies.
Yeah, so, how the game handles cutscenes is it actually puts an enemy sprite on the screen. You just can't see it. So if you manage to hit that sprite in just the right way, Bow Wow will eat it, and will actually eat the cutscene, which will allow you to be able to move around, just like that. As if by magic, the dungeon is open, and he didn't have to wait through that cutscene.
Yep, but that's the reason why you saw him fire that bomb arrow before he put it in the keyhole, because having that explosion sprite on screen is what makes Bow Wow goes after. Gosh, Stanner and Sample Name still staying very close, although Sample Name is pulled a little bit further ahead right now.
Yeah, I think it was because of Stanner's difficulty with the Villa skip, which is why Sample got ahead.
Ah, yes, the Villa skip, because like we mentioned with that, you have to basically pause and unpause repeatedly until it decides to let you go, which is based on, I think it's on a global frame rules, so you can either get it after only 1 pause buffer or after 20. We've had some pretty high pause buffers, and there's really not a thing you can do about it.
Looks like Cravone got his obstacle skip.
Yes, and he's heading down to Dungeon 4 to get his flippers and get out. Meanwhile, Sample Name coming up on Walrus Skip, he's doing top of the screen, so which is a good. That's actually the way I do it as well, because I feel it's very comfortable and it has very good visual cue for your subpixels, so it's very easy to avoid the soft lock.
Yeah, that's personally the way I do it too. But I think doing it from the side actually is a little bit faster, because you don't have to go that extra screen.
Yes, it absolutely is. So, but it's one of those things where you can very easily do slightly suboptimal strats in several spots like that and still get a sub-hour. So it's unless you're vying for the world record, you can totally do it with the top screen like that. And in a race, I can't blame anyone for doing that, honestly.
Yeah, it looks like Sttaner is doing from the top method as well.
Alright, we're ElPhezo doing a bunch of super jumps. Oh, getting a piece of power down there where you can't get to it anymore. D6 piece of power is one of those things which it's kind of starting to come into vogue now, but most runners really don't worry about it past Dungeon 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice if it falls in a good place at a certain part in the dungeon, but... So ElPhezo making that super jump there. That super jump is another soft lock potential if you attempt to jump in the wrong spot. However, there is a very easy to see visual cue. You have to be in between these two little water ripples. So people usually don't soft lock there, but it happens sometimes.
Oh man!
And he got great horse heads.
First try horse heads. Because the newer route for D6 has you going through that horse head room, and you just have to keep throwing them until they land both face up, which, totally random. And I'm also happy to report that Sttaner and Sample Name have both gotten Walrus Skip without soft locking. But everyone start holding your breath, because ElPhezo is coming up on the most challenging boss in the game. I'm only being partially serious. You can't actually die here. In fact, I died here in my last race.
Yeah, I mean, ElPhezo is a little bit low with hearts.
Yeah, and those tiles do hurt. But I think he's fine. And there we go, 5th hit. The cool thing is his hitbox is there even before you can see it, so you can actually get 3 bombs on him before he even starts talking. And it only takes 5 bombs to kill him, so... With that, ElPhezo is done with Dungeon 6, which means he's on his way back up to finish Dungeon 4, while Cravone is heading into Dungeon 5 now. Although it's going to be interesting to see what he does, because his piece of power count is going to be completely thrown off by having to use the save file after Walrus Skip. So we'll see what he does.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, or hard to know when piece of power is going to drop in that case. Alright, looks like Sample, let's see if he gets his obstacle skip. Could we be 3 for 3?
We're about to find out. Oh, it doesn't look like it.
It doesn't look like it. Alright, 2 for 3 so far.
Well, let's be honest about obstacle skip. It barely saves any time at all, but it's something that everyone goes for anyway.
Yeah, it's more swag strats than anything else. But...
Yeah, but if you're going to be playing a game like this, you might as well do it looking good.
Exactly. So now, since ElPhezo beat D6 and got the level 2 power bracelet, he can finally go back to D4 and actually get the instrument.
Yep, because I guess the level 2 power bracelet has anti-ghost properties, because we don't have to worry about that ghost side quest anymore. And we also get to see another fun super jump to get up to where the Nightmare Key is early. Going to see him just move some pots, go off this wall, and bounce off that pea hat, just like that.
Yeah, you have to get good with timing in that case, because pea hat has to be a little bit off the ground for you to actually be able to make it.
Yep. Which on the plus side means you have a little bit more time to get yourself set up. Oh, we actually have 3 of the racers in the same dungeon. That's a treat.
Not at the same time they're supposed to be at the dungeon, but close enough.
Come on, White Wolf, let me have this at least. ElPhezo gets the harp out of Dungeon 4, and he is on his way to the final 2 dungeons up in the mountains, which means it's time to prove his worth against the most challenging trick in the run.
Good old Rooster Skip.
Good old Rooster Skip. Because that may sound like a dumb name, but here's the thing you have to understand. In this game, the game wants you to get an ocarina, learn a song from a frog that brings things back from the dead, and then resurrect a flying rooster and use it to get a key. It's about as ridiculous as it sounds, and it takes a long time. But it turns out, using shenanigans with the Rock's Feather and the hook shot, we don't have to do any of that.
Yeah, it essentially relies on the fact that when you fire your hook shot on one particular frame, when it's retracting back, you're allowed to jump. And so you can use that to jump over big gaps. However, the timing, because it's just that one frame, is very specific. I know ElPhezo goes for the unbuffered method, but there is a buffered method that people use, so you can more easily get to the exact frame.
Yeah, and you'll actually probably see most runners in this tournament do that, just because it's safe. And the other thing about Rooster Skip is the cavern in which you're doing it is one of the few caverns in the game where falling down a pit doesn't put you back at the door. It actually drops you out back into the water where ElPhezo is right now. So if you take a tumble in that cave, you're going to lose 20 to 30 seconds getting back just to try it again. So it's a very costly mistake to make. So there's no shame in buffering on this one. And here we go.
Cravone got his dumb jump number 2, second try.
Very nice. Here we go. ElPhezo going into the Rooster Skip room and setting up for the first jump. The good news is, okay. Oh, global frame rules nailed him there. You saw he fell immediately. That's a global frame rule thing. Sometimes you'll just kind of stand there. Link will kind of stay there and take a fraction of a second to fall. But if the game decides that you're going to fall instantly, not much you can do about it.
Yeah, there are just these certain spots where evidently you just drop instantly. And then, in addition to the randomness, you can also, if Bow Wow moves in the wrong spot, you can actually tink your sword just like that, or tink the hook shot against Bow Wow. And there's nothing you can do about that either.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that can go wrong in Rooster Skip. It's a very challenging trick. Thankfully, if you're doing it unbuffered, the saving grace is that usually when you're doing it unbuffered, you're pushing the jump button and the hookshot button at around the same time. So in the event that you don't hit that one frame, you can still fire the hookshot out and try it again. So when you see him fire multiple hookshots,
oh, double firsties.
Ooh, that was beautiful. That is exactly the way it looks. That's task quality right there. Wait, is he?
He's trying to do reverse.
Oh.
Aww.
Oh my god, that would have made my week.
Yeah, so there's a trick you can do where it's called reverse Rooster Skip, where you can go back the way you came. But I've never tried it myself, but I believe it's harder to go backwards than it is to go forward.
That would not surprise me. Gosh, everyone's just having party time with Master Stalfos in Dungeon 5 right now. And Cravone going for the 200 rupee chest for some reason. I don't know.
Maybe he's planning on buying something later on?
Maybe he's going to try to bribe Deathel, who knows.
Yeah, you never know.
But anyways, ElPhezo about to hit Dungeon 7, and you might remember Dungeon 6 had the fun trick with Bow Wow eating the opening cutscene? Well, guess what? Doing it again.
Looks like Stanner's trying the jump. First try. Nice.
Oh, ElPhezo not getting the cutscene skip, so we're gonna have to watch the tower spin really slowly.
Yeah, sometimes you can do everything right with these cutscene eats, but if Bow Wow just isn't hungry, nothing you can really do about that.
Yeah, and Cravone is about to fight the Wall Snake, so let's see how Wall Snake treats him and how he deals with it here. Again, we're going to hope for a 2-cycle, so... Ooh, good position. Oh, doesn't quite get into position fast enough. Getting bad positioning on Wall Snake, but oh, there we go.
So, ElPhezo here is doing a very important trick. He's using bomb trigger similar to what Walrus Skip was, in order to get these pillars to fall down. Usually you have to get this ball from a boss and just throw it at those pillars, and that takes a long time. But you can actually use bomb triggers to make it go down. ElPhezo having a little trouble on the last one.
Yeah, he's trying to do it unbuffered, and it's not working for him.
I don't know. It looks like he's going for the buffered strats now.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, the thing, Dungeon 7 is the one where you have to worry most about your bomb count, because you end up needing... There's five pillars. Wait, no, there's 4 pillars. Yes, there are 4 pillars, and you need 3 bombs for the boss. So that's 11 bombs. You need 11 bombs, and there's 2, and one of the ways you can do bomb triggers is by dropping bombs into a hole. Because remember, the only requirement is you have to drop them within 4 frames. The problem is it's a very tight window, so if you're not mashing fast enough, it's very easy to drop more than 2 bombs in that hole. You have a very limited count, so you gotta be very careful with those bombs in Dungeon 7.
Yeah, so there's a trick here that ElPhezo could have gone for called Goomba Surf, but it is a very difficult trick, so instead he decided to take a little bit of the long way around, doing a super jump to bonk off a P-hat to get up to that ledge so we can now face the boss.
Yeah, the thing about that P-hat Tink is it's consistent. Goomba Surf is faster, but it's dependent on whether or not the Goomba wants to move in the correct positioning. So, depending on how you're feeling about your RNG.
So we'll have to see if anyone else goes for it. Looks like we have 3 bosses at once.
Yep. Sttaner firing the hookshot in the wrong direction there. But looks like he's...
Yeah, sometimes when you're just moving around in these circles, you're just facing the wrong direction when you start hitting hookshot and you just fire it off in a completely random direction.
Well, Sample Name finishing off Dungeon... I forgot what dungeon he was in. Dungeon 5. And ElPhezo finishing off Dungeon 7. And Sttaner also finishing off Dungeon 5. Just everyone is just finishing all sorts of dungeons left and right. Except Gravone, who is getting the D6 key.
Yeah, so Sample has gotten a little more breathing room, but with all the RNG elements that happen in this game, you can definitely make that time up.
Oh, absolutely. Sttaner is still very much within firing distance of Sample Name, especially... Look what happened to ElPhezo doing Rooster Skip. If Sample Name has trouble with Rooster Skip and Sttaner nails it, that's all it takes for him to be right back in the game or to pull ahead, so... There are still plenty of things.
Gravone had a little trouble there with the Armos Knight, but he got it in the end. Oh, and ElPhezo did a trick there that actually skips this long cutscene with Marin. You can actually just jump on past her. So, we leave her there, but it's all in the name of speed. I'm sure she'll understand.
Saving 45 seconds and breaking my heart.
So it looks like Gravone is leaving Armos Maze just as Sample is getting to the boss, and same with Sttaner.
A little bit of the high-five action. Oh, and ElPhezo coming up on the next big skip. The game wants you to use the level 2 shield to get past this fire, but if you're clipped into the wall and you charge right into it, you can get past it. Does a lot of damage, though, so you don't want to have low health when you get there.
Yeah, I think if you do it correctly, you can actually... It only eats, like, 2.5 hearts, but it's hard to get it just there.
Yep. And we hope you like bomb triggers, because, we need to use another one. Yep. You're supposed to use that Magic Frog song to get into Dungeon 8, but now we're just gonna play the ocarina like a flute, it's fine. We're gonna play bombs like an ocarina, it's fine.
Oh, so it looks like Sttaner pulled ahead there because Sample was having some issues with that Armos fight.
Oh. Yeah, the thing, Armos is one of those things where if you know the strats, it's not usually that bad, but if you start making mistakes, it does a lot of damage.
Yeah, you have to be very careful with him because he has this attack where he slams the ground and that stuns you. And if that happens to you once, then sometimes that just completely throws off your rhythm and it's hard to get back to attacking him.
Yeah, that's why I actually like using feather strats, which is it's a little bit slower, but it's a lot safer. And ElPhezo wasting no time, already on his way toward the big power-up, the big item. But first he has to fight Blano, who, due to a long time ago change in what the definition of out of bounds was, we no longer skip him.
Yeah, but he's not too terrible of a battle if you get in a good rhythm, so...
Yep. Oh, you definitely don't want to get punched by him. Getting punched by him sends you back to the beginning of the dungeon, which is never fun. But now, with Magic Rod in hand, ElPhezo is going to head on his way to get that Nightmare Key and then just go fight the boss, because this is a huge dungeon, but we skip a lot of it.
Yeah, at the beginning, you perform this super jump over this line of blocks, then it just cuts down on the dungeon time tremendously.
Which is good, because I remember this dungeon was the stuff of nightmares when I was a kid. It just took forever to get through.
Well, here's everybody's favorite room.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
gotta
so
use... Oh, I'm sorry.
So the thing with this room is you have to get the block to fill up the holes exactly, but while also optimally you need to be jumping, trying to get near that treasure chest so that you're near it when it appears. But it's very easy to mess up on that and have to restart it.
It's true. And now the last trick of Dungeon 8, ElPhezo is going to be doing basically we call a Jesus walk on lava here, which is... Oh, it gets on first buffer too. You have to pause in the same frame that you get the animation of landing in the lava, and the game just lets you jump out of it and just clip on the wall, and then super jump to the boss door, which is Hothead! Yeah. Oh, and he gets the one cycle!
The thing with Hothead is how exactly you damage him is a little bit of a mystery. Sometimes you spam the fire rod and doesn't do that much, but... Ooh, Wang Boys.
Wang Boys!
Very important trick here.
Some would say, the most important trick.
Exactly. I was very shamed I forgot to do it on my race. Yeah, so the thing with that Hothead boss is that, because of his invincibility frames, sometimes it's better to not spam him, but then sometimes it doesn't work. He's a very confusing boss, to say the least.
Yeah.
Oh, so it looks like Sttaner is going for the boss ball strats.
Yep, this is actually the older route before the current route became the norm. It's a little bit slower, but you don't have to deal with horse heads, and you get an extra bomb pickup. So it's definitely, some folks definitely like it. It looks like Stanner's getting a bunch of extra bombs, which with Dungeon 7 coming up, I can't say I blame him. Oh, ElPhezo's setting up for the final bomb trigger right here, the one where Link reaches the potential he always knew he had to become the world's greatest bomb Karina player.
Looks like Stanner's heading off to the face.
Yeah, give Facade the what for. The sample name also taking the old route through D6. Cravone opting to get the fairies before Facade, which is completely fair. Because, like we mentioned, those tiles will do a heart of damage, so with them flying all over the place, it's very easy to take hits. So before we get to it, I'm going to talk a little bit about the egg here. ElPhezo is now in the Windfish Egg, which if you played this game casually, you might remember requires you to do this super long trading sequence, go all over the island, do this and that, and blah-de-blah. To get a magnifying glass, which you use to read a book in the library, which tells you what the route through the egg is. But, as it turns out, that route through the egg is only generated when you read the book in the library. So, if we just don't get the magnifying glass and read the book, it's always the same route. Left, left, up, right, right, up, left, up.
Yeah, it looks like ElPhezo got the tech skip there. Using the power of bombs, once again, you can get that text to skip and it goes a little bit faster. But it doesn't look like he got the blob quick kill, though. So he has to take out his magic powder and kill him off.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it also kills the music, which is unfortunate, because I actually kind of like the Nightmare Fight music.
Yeah. So here's Aghanim down here, who can be very much of a run killer. Because he'll fire 2 good shots, but then after that it's a mix of blue balls, which you saw right there, or good shots. And you have to get 2 more, but it's a 50-50 shot which one you get. So.
Yeah. And unlike Aghanim in Link to the Past, there is no maximum number of blue balls before you get another yellow ball. He can give you blue balls until you stop breathing. I mean, he just keeps doing forever, so this can definitely kill your run if he just decides to just not give you the yellow shots you need.
So Cravone here, as you can see, he's going a little bit of a different route. He told me that what he likes to do is, actually, before going to D7, is to go to D8. Because if you go to D8, you can get the Magic Rod, which makes the D7 final boss a lot easier to deal with.
Yeah, that's actually the route that I first learned when I learned this game, was actually doing D8 before D7, because the Magic Rod does make Evil Eagle an absolute laugh.
Yeah, so it looks like ElPhezo here is on Deathel, another RNG heavy part of the final boss, because you don't know when he's going to open his eye, but it looks like he got very good
oh my gosh, he got the perfect pattern.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Cravone heading up to do... Oh, that's right, he's not doing Rooster Skip. He does Rooster Skip on the way. But with that, on the Fade to White, ElPhezo is the winner of his race with an SRL time of 56 minutes and 55 seconds.
Yeah, that was very, very good Deathel RNG. Nice going, ElPhezo.
Oh no, Cravone doesn't quite get the jump. Takes the fall.
Yeah, so I'll have to go up and do that again.
But GG's to ElPhezo. That is a solid race time. And... oh, there we go. GG, ElPhezo. Well done.
Hey guys, thank you very much.
Yeah, that Deathel RNG, that was amazing.
I've never seen that good of RNG on that segment. That was insane. That kept me in the 56 range.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was a pretty good time, too.
So, if you guys don't mind, can you catch me up on what happened?
So, Cravone was... he was doing fine. I mean, you guys were about, you know, staying competitive. And he tries to do left side walrus skip and misses it, and the rabbit came out. And he didn't have a save file prepared. So for several minutes, he just sat there until good guy Spice Father sent him a save file. So that's why he is back now.
Okay. So what happened with Stanner and sample name?
So Stanner's internet died.
Okay.
So then when it came back on, Sample restarted with Stanner so they could all do the race together.
Are they still on the same stream?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. So there's 3 people still running then, presumably.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Stanner and Cravone actually doing doing Rooster Skip at about the same time. Very nice.
How do you want to hear the words Rooster Skip right now?
Yeah, that was just so sad.
Cravone getting the reverse Rooster Skip!
Did he get it?
He
Yeah,
did!
Okay, that makes up a little bit. I'm pretty mad at him for not having a backup save file, to be honest. He should know better, but, you know, that's fine.
Yeah, I think we were all surprised. One of those things where just kind of... you expect everyone just to have one, but at the same time you also don't expect Cravone to soft lock there, so,
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was a really in-depth meme he was trying. I'm not sure, but I am a little upset at him.
Yeah, well, my first race, I forgot to actually make a save file for Wallace Skip, so I had to make one in the middle of the race.
Oh, really? Okay. Well,
So.
you didn't soft lock on it though, did you?
I didn't, but I wanted to take the time to make it, because I just completely had forgotten to make one beforehand.
Yeah, that's probably smart.
Yeah, so I think in that case, no one's going to begrudge you saving and quitting to make that save file.
Yeah, I would certainly. So, where are Stanner and Sample Name at right now? You said Rooster Skip?
Stanner is currently opening D7, and Sample Name is on his way to do the same.
Okay, wow, so a tight race still.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's been a bit back and forth between the two. Sample Name was actually a bit ahead for a while, but Stanner did a lot better on the Armos fight. So
Kind of some back and forth thing.
Yeah.
But D7 can turn it all around, so we'll see what happens here. Let's see how their bomb triggers go, and we'll see what strat they want to use to get to the boss and skip the key.
Well, I'm probably going to head out of here and let you guys commentate the rest of that race. So, thanks, and GG Cravone, I guess, even though you didn't have a backup save. I'm a little mad at you, but, you know, when you're watching this later, you can figure that out.
Well, thank you for dropping by, ElPhezo, and congratulations once again on your win.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Alright, so it looks like Stanner is doing the bomb triggers here.
Yep.
Didn't opt to go for the naked super jump. That takes another extra menu, but naked super jumps, especially that one, can be very tricky. So
Yeah, super jumps with the sword are actually pretty simple once you know how to do them, but the naked one's definitely a lot tighter window to make them work. But yeah, Stanner made it through the bomb triggers with no trouble, so Sample Name's got to do him pretty clean as well, in order to have any hopes of... Oh! Looks like he's going to be doing the pit strat.
yeah, so there are many different strats you can do here. You can use the pits, you can use the swing transitions, you can buffer both methods. So there's a lot of different strategies you can use, and you just use what's comfortable for you.
Oh, and Stanner just going for the P-hat strat, which is totally fine. Gets it no trouble.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll see any Goomba surfing this run.
Possibly. Well, I'm not sure if Sample Name does it, so we'll have to wait and see. And Cravone actually might, because I keep forgetting he's doing D8 first.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is actually going to be interesting, because we don't usually get to see a Fire Rod Evil Eagle, and you get to see just how much of a laugh it really is.
Well, speaking of Evil Eagle, it looks like Stanner just defeated him.
Oh my god, Cravone getting his... Cravone having some trouble with Blano there. Loot taking several hearts of damage from him.
Well, at least he drops a fairy.
Yeah.
Oh, and it looks like Sample is going for the P-hat jump too. So I guess it's up to Cravone to see if we'll see any Goomba surfing this time.
Yeah, we'll find out soon enough. Although I actually am relieved a bit because the P-hat strat, while technically more consistent than Goomba Surf, if the BMOS in that room knocks you off those raised blocks behind it, you're stuck. You have to save and quit, because either that or you have to do an unclipped super jump, which is not an easy trick.
Well, I've actually had to do it before. At least the one time I did it, it wasn't too awful. You essentially use your hook shot to grab or get pulled. There's like a pot there, so you use your hook shot to on that pot, and it sort of clips you in the wall so you can get out. But I personally like that method because or the P-hat method better. I'm just not good at those naked super jumps. It's a lot more consistent. Only loses like 10 seconds or so. Not terrible time loss.
And that is the most unusual way of doing that room I've seen so far this tournament. Thank you, Cravone.
Well, Cravone has made videos describing how people do that room, so I'm sure he has seen a whole bunch of different ways.
Yep, I think that the running gag is that no two runners do it quite the same way. But as far as the Stanner sample name race goes, Stanner is starting to pull even further ahead at this point, so sample name's got to hopefully have a pretty strong showing in D8.
Yeah, I think at this point he's, I would say about a minute. There's about a minute difference between the two.
I'd say it's about right.
Yeah, well, thankfully it wasn't a minute 40 there, because Sample managed to get past Marin without that long cutscene.
Yes, indeed. And Cravone giving Hothead the business and picking up the drum.
Oh, side wang boys.
Oh my goodness.
That just seems uncomfortable.
Certainly does. Looks like...
Oh,
Stanner.
I've never even seen that method before by Sttaner.
I think that's actually the way I originally learned it, but then I just found out it's a lot easier just to do the super jump. I guess it just really depends on what you want to do.
Yeah, that is a nice thing about this game, that while there are a lot of tricks you have to do, often there are, different strategies for doing them. So if you're not comfortable with one way, you can just go do the other way.
Yeah, because that's the thing. An optimal strat may save you a couple of seconds, but if you can't get it every time, then just do the strat that works for you. And you can...
Sorry. Stanner choosing to go a little bit different way than we've seen.
Yeah.
Knocking enemies into the pit to open that door.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of combination of old and new strats here, which is kind of cool, actually, just because you can see just how... Oh, Stanner doing a little shout-out to the no longer valid Blano skip there.
Oh, Sample taking a death?
Oh, no.
I guess I didn't see exactly what happened there. If that was an intentional death, or...
Given where it happened, I'd imagine not. He probably just accidentally took a hit, and, They're doing some advertising for SNES Chalmers there.
Gotta have those memes.
So it wouldn't be LADX without the memes. But I'm a little bit disoriented as to where everyone is all of a sudden. Okay, Cravone is on his way to D7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, usually we don't have these four-way races here. Usually they're just two people, so it's even hard for us commentators sometimes to figure out where everything is.
Yes, especially with the staggered starts and then with the everything that happened. We have basically trying to keep track of 3 very different locations, but we're trying, by golly.
Yeah, especially since Cravone is doing this old strat of going to D8 first and then going to D7, so...
Now, if you'd wanted to go the real old strats, I remember when I first learned it, it was you do D8, D7, and then jump down from D7 and then finish D4. That was the last thing you did when I first learned this run.
I actually don't know if I've seen him in D4 the second time. That may be what he's doing. Did you see him go to D4?
I don't remember. I saw him in D4 at some point, but I don't remember if it was the first half or the second half.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, I know he did it the first time, obviously, to get the flippers, but...
Alright, Spice Father calling out that he did the long sim, so he didn't finish D4. He's actually doing it the way I first learned this, which is for me is kind of neat, actually. And there it is.
Oh, Wang Boys.
More Wang Boys.
And a good hothead fight.
Yeah. Sample name getting that fire rod as well.
Looks like Cravone is choosing to do the buffered bomb triggers here.
Which is absolutely fair. I still do buffered bomb triggers in D7.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying that bomb count is something you're still pretty keeping an eye on, especially with D8 coming. You still have a few bomb arrows you have to shoot in D8, so you don't want to be running out.
Alright, so it looks like Stanner is making his way off to the Windfish.
Yes, he's pulled quite a bit ahead of Sample Name here. So unless he has the absolute worst Aghanim and Deathland. Oh no, Sample Name taking a tumble in the key room.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about the difficulty of this room, because you have to be moving this thing around while also jumping. So if you make one mispress, then suddenly you're falling into the pit.
Yep, or having to reset the room. Neither of which is something you want to be doing.
Oh, so it looks like Cravone is doing neither the Goomba Surf nor the Key Hat Jump. He is going to get the key.
Oh, well, that's a... Well, I guess that makes the dialogue before the boss make sense, because he tells you, I can't believe you destroyed my brothers, and which, since we skipped that fight, makes absolutely no sense.
Well, we're trying to keep some continuity here, I guess.
Absolutely, Cravone doing his part to keep continuity alive.
Oh. Sample having a little bit of trouble with Hothead, but there we go. 2 cycle.
Yeah. Hothead is not a very complex boss, but his lava balls do a lot of damage. And
oh, no wing, boys.
I think we might have to disqualify Sample Name.
Jeez. Yeah, I guess I haven't... So we got 3 out of 4 Wang Boys. I guess since Cravone has the fire rod here, he could go for another one.
But let's watch Cravone just shoot his fire left and right like he just don't care. Look at him go. And well, that's it.
It looks like, and it sounds like, that Stanner got the tech skip. Looks like he also got the quick hill too.
Oh, nice! He got the quick phase 1 there, and let's see how Aghanim treats him. Because with Sample Name also on his way to the Windfish Egg, if Stanner gets bad luck, that could... Sample Name is not technically out of it just yet.
Oh, it looks like Cravone did do D7 Wang Boys.
Ooh, the rare D7 Wang Boys. Y'all are getting a treat here today in this race. Oh man, Stanner getting really good Aghanim luck there. And also not dropping the Moldorm, which is something you don't want to see.
Oh no, Cravone!
No, that's what he wants to do though, because remember he has to go to D4 now.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay. Never mind. That's something that I did unintentionally in my race, so...
Yeah, so actually I remember that, yeah. Alright.
My apologies, Cravone.
And Stander heading up to Deathel. Let's see how Deathel treats him.
Not as good as ElPhezo, but that ElPhezo Deathel was just so amazing. It's hard to be able to top that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh my goodness.
Oh, come on, Deathel. Oh, I think Sample went the wrong way by accident.
Uh-oh. We'll find out. Oh, Stanner getting the final hit on Deathel, though. So it's not gonna matter, because he's moments away from Dot Dunning here. And with the fade to white, Stanner finishes winning his race with Sample Name with an official SRL time of... let's see, it's not showing up. Oh, that's right. Because they both had to restart the race, so it's not actually in there. We don't have an official SRL time for him.
Oh well. We'll have this time, I guess.
So an official speed gaming time of 58:16.
There we go.
Yes.
Oh, the even more rare D4 Wang Boys there.
We're just seeing the stuff of legend here today.
Well, very nice job, Stanner.
GG Stanner.
And it looks like Sample isn't that far behind. Just killed Aghanim.
I don't know if he's gonna be able to pull the sub-hour, though. It depends on, he's doing the, Interesting. Don't see those strats too often.
Yeah, those are called shovel strats. You can actually use that on the Armos fight, too. But it essentially locks you in place with your sword out, so you can just constantly hit the boss with your sword.
Alright, here we go. It's time for Deathel. Let's see how Deathel treats Sample Name.
It looks like Stanner is in the waiting room for the commentary stuff, if you want to bring him in.
Yep, I see him. Hello, Stanner. GG on your win.
Yo, thank you. There was... Yeah, I had some issues, so... Thanks to Sample, could restart the race. I would have been down if he said he doesn't want to restart. He was kind enough to let us restart the race, so big thank you to him. So, to the run itself, was meh. Had a really good... last fight though, except Devil ripped me off my 57.
Yeah,
And it looks like Sample just finished here with a speed gaming time of 1 hour and 19 seconds.
Yo, nice. GG's to him.
Yeah.
GG to Sample Name, and now Cravone about to enter the egg himself.
Nice. Yeah. Those D3 buffers though. I had like second try 11 buffer. Yeah, that's an actual PB I've gotten. So...
Oh, nice!
It's easily beatable if I don't get 11 buffers.
Yeah, that bill skip.
Yeah, this... Global... Those frame rules, just some days...
Yeah,
they just
one
don't
day.
want you to save time.
Yeah, one day.
Alright. But, Cravone taking us on a wild ride through different dungeon orders here, so... Let's see how he does. Oh!
No tech skip.
No text, but that means we get the rockin' nightmare music.
There you go, some good music to finish out the round.
Stanner, any other thoughts or things you want to say about things that happened during your run that just really jumped out at you as, man, that was cool, I want to talk about that thing I did?
Yeah, the one thing I could not do because it was banned is Lano skip, so shoutouts to SNES Chalmers.
Yeah, we saw you doing that.
Bring back Lano skip.
Yeah, we started tinking the sword there.
Yeah. I could have actually gotten to 57 if I didn't troll right there. Yeah, and Aegis is the better speed, so...
Oh, you can't say that on this race.
Uh-oh, I think I see my fingers going toward the drag you to the other channel button.
Oh no, please.
Nah, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it looks like Pavone's using some shovel strats here. On Aghanim.
Going for pure swag, and I can respect that. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't actually know you could use the shovel here.
Yeah, Santa, your race was actually kind of interesting, just on the back and forth that you two had.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for my shitty D2 and my D3, I could have even went for a 56, like a high one. It's definitely possible.
Looks like Cravone unfortunately missed the quick kill there.
Yeah, he dropped himself a Moldorm and has got hit 16 times in the tail.
Oh, and then I somehow screwed up Dungeon 5 boss. Even though the dungeon itself went really, really good, and then I screwed up the boss. Cost me lots of time.
Yeah, that's the Wallworm does some days, it just... gives you a hard time.
Yeah, that's still the boss I do the worst on. Oh, looks like he's going to Deathel now.
Let's see if he can cut the hour 20. Actually, no, I take that back. I don't think it doesn't have enough time.
Come on, Cravone.
Getting okay eye luck, actually. Just if we can get one more eye, he'll have it. Come on, Deathel. Show us that. There you go.
There we go. Thank you, ElPhezo.
Thank you, ElPhezo. Yeah, when we get Cravone in here, we have to make sure to pass along that ElPhezo is very cross at him for not having that safety save.
Oh.
Yeah, Sttaner, I don't know how where you are, what was going on there, but Cravone soft locked on Walrus Skip and didn't have a backup save.
Oh, he did not.
He did not.
Okay, I didn't have one either.
Oh, please have a backup save.
Yeah, shoutouts to Spice Father for providing that safety save.
Yeah, he's the real MVP of this race. And Cravone's ready. Let's drag him down. Hello, Cravone. GG on that interesting run.
Well, it's sort of invalidated after I loaded the save state, so I thought I might as well have some fun.
Yeah, it was actually very cool to see the boss order, the dungeon order as I remember it. That was a nice treat.
Yeah. To be fair, the run up until Walrus Skip, I felt I was playing well, but the RNG was not cooperating at all. I just like 2.5 minutes by the end of Dungeon 2, just down to RNG, and Walrus Skip, I basically got my inputs mixed up. So basically when you do Walrus Skip from the side, if you get the subpixels that I got, you have to hold left and then down left. I held down left and then left, and that actually makes a difference.
Yeah.
So that's why I soft locked. I realized it as soon as I did it. Why? Like, the first input I completely knew already. It's unfortunate.
Can you do me a favor, Cravone? Can you say Walrus again?
Walrus.
Oh god.
Why?
the British accent, dude. Oh.
I just want to point out triple firsties on reverse rooster skip.
Yeah, that was very impressive there.
That was so cool.
Highlight of this invalid run.
Oh yeah, we have to pass on the message that ElPhezo was cross with you for not having a backup Walrus Skip save.
Okay, well, obviously this is my fault for not having one. Before now, I've only ever soft locked during a run or race once there, and I was overconfident, pure and simple. I was overconfident in my ability to not soft lock on Walrus.
Yeah, that skip can get the best of anyone though, especially when you go from it from the side like you did. Everyone else in the race chose to do it from the top, I believe.
Well, the method I use with the side and the buffering is 100% consistent. What wasn't consistent is me actually pressing the right buttons.
Well,
it certainly made the race more interesting. So we at one point we had 3 different people in 3 different dungeons, which was a real joy to try to keep up with.
Yeah, I decided after last week my travesty of a Dungeon 7 against Orlos, I was going to play it mega safe for Dungeon 7. I was going to do the dungeons, I was going to do the old route, which I did. Although the old route used bomb arrows on anglerfish rather than fire rod. I sort of underestimated how many hits you needed with fire rod to kill him. But yeah, I also got the D7 Nightmare Key because I really, really hate the P-Hat Bonk, and The Goomba Surf is just so much RNG.
Yeah, both of those methods can definitely be tricky, especially Goomba Surf. But it was very interesting being able to see like all the different routes that used to be the main route, but now have been switched out for other things.
Well, the reverse rooster skip I did, like using that route, that was actually quicker what I managed to get. Like, obviously I was memeing whilst doing it, but triple first is actually a time save over falling down the pit, so
Yeah.
even with buffered.
Well, you can meme and be useful at the same time.
Yep.
Or you can just meme.
I mean,
That's
I
it.
was going into this race, like, I was gonna take it completely seriously, and then Walrus Skip happened, and it's like, oh.
At that point, you just
The
take your
worst
seriousness and you throw it
The
out the window.
worst time to actually soft lock on a Walrus Skip is during a race. During
Yeah.
a four-way race as well.
Yeah, this four-way race, it was definitely very interesting to commentate and watch, I'm sure.
So what happened with Stanner and Sample then? Because I know they had to restart.
Essentially,
Yeah.
Sttaner, his internet went down or something for a little bit.
Yeah, it went down for like 5 minutes, and Sample was kind enough to let us restart the race. So, again,
Right.
thank you, Sample, for letting us restart the race.
Did
Good
you
shot.
guys see my Nightmare Key room in Dungeon 2? Like, that Stealthos was being the most trolly
Oh yeah,
Yes,
that.
I remember that.
I've never seen him being that bad before. Also, the Bow Wow not eating the flower. I mean, I guess I was on the wrong side, but even when I changed, it took him ages to eat it.
You ended
Yeah,
up just
which
leaving the
is
screen and
terrible.
coming back, I think you did.
Yeah. And then I find out I had perfect piece of power as well, so I would have definitely like officially PB'd this race if I had not got War Skip and had I had better RNG in the first half of the run.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully that'll work out better for you next time and you can dazzle us all with your sweet moves in the next race.
Well, if I ever get a PB, it's gonna have to be with Shovel Aghanim.
Well,
The
of
way
course.
nature intended.
Well, I
So-
think there's another race after this, right?
There certainly
What is
is.
it?
At 8 p.m. today, we have the Link to the Past randomizer with Entrance Shuffle, which if you haven't seen is a definite wild ride, so that's something to look forward to. So I'm going to bet Feel's probably going to be asking us to step aside here in a moment. So, Cravone, Stanner, anything else you want to say before we pass it along to the Link to the Past folks?
Good game to everyone in the race.
Yeah, GG's.
I want to give shout-outs to ElPhezo for managing to get this as a four-way race at such short notice as well, so shouts to him.
Yes. Thank you, Feasel, for letting us do this.
Yeah, thank you, Feasel. Good guy.
Good guy, and to Spice Father for being great about the
Oh yeah, I have to
safety
thank
save.
Space Otter. Spice Father. He's got so many names because without his save state, I wouldn't have been able to continue. Because
Yep.
I do have a save state, but it's got like 60 bombs and 30 arrows, and obviously that would put me at an advantage. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I think ElPhezo really wants to start streaming right now. I keep on seeing his face flicker in and out.
oh well, Fezzo.
Can he sort of put the potato with the beard going left and right?
I have
If
no
only.
idea what that even means. But looks like Stanner is stepped out. So with that, we need a couple minutes here till the starting of the next one. So I think we should probably get ready to hand it off because, like I said, coming up next we have Link to the Past randomizer entrance shuffle tournament continues. And then after that, at 10 p.m., we have the Final Fantasy randomizer tournament, which has been an ongoing thing on Speed Gaming. That's going to do it for LADX until tomorrow at 4 p.m. by the looks of it. So, to everyone who watched, thank you very much for sticking around.
Yeah. And keep on watching awesome Speed games.
Most definitely. So thanks everyone for watching. Thank you White Wolfos for co-commentating with me. It's been fun.
Yeah,
And
definitely. I'll have to do it again sometime.
Absolutely. Yeah,
There
good
we
night,
go.
everybody.
There's the potato.
Oh, potato!
Thank you, Fezo.
Delivering. Okay, but for reals though, thanks everyone for watching. Have a good night.
All right, good night, everyone.